Hey, Big Pastor T here. Don't you hate it when you fall in the lake, when you're riding a canoe, and you got your Smith & Wesson M&P 9 as your carry gun, and it gets all wet and nasty with pond gunk? Well, that's what happened with this one. So I'm going to take this down in this video. I'm going to field strip it, then I'm going to take it down a little bit further, pull out the trigger, pull out the striker, pull out a few of the little springs, the locking block and things, so I can be sure to clean out all that pond gunk. Stay tuned here and we'll check this thing out and see how dirty it is. So the first thing you want to do when you're going to clean any gun, this pistol included, is you want to check the gun and make sure the gun is clear. Make sure that there's no bullets in the magazine. Matter of fact, I make it a rule that I don't have any bullets on the table when I'm cleaning my guns. So we see we have a clear gun, and so we can go ahead and pull down the takedown lever, and we can drop the slide. We pull the trigger, and the slide comes right off. Once we have the slide off, we can take the recoil rod and spring off. It's a captured spring, so it's easy to get out. We pull that out. We can pull the barrel right out, and we now have the gun field stripped. So I'm going to put the slide and the barrel and the recoil rod and spring to the side, and now we're left with the frame of the gun and the firing control parts inside. So to get these out, we're going to have to pull out. We're going to have to pull our takedown lever out, and then we're going to have to push these two roll pins and this pin to get everything out. So let me get my punches out. All right, so to get this pin out, I'm just going to turn this thing and just apply just a little bit of pressure to it, turn it up, and I can pull it right out. There's got a little clip there that helps to hold it in, but you can normally just pull these things right out. And so you pull this thing out, and then you pull your punches out. I like to use this truck mat when I'm cleaning my guns. So one of the things I like about it, it's really handy. It folds up in half, and I can also use the hole here for the handle. I can use that as I'm pushing any pins out. So that's what I'm going to do now. Take these pins out, and then I'll be right back. All right, so now I have the 3 pins out, and that leaves me with my grip module and all of my fire control and trigger control. So I'm gonna try to get this out if I can and show you how to do this with one hand. I'm gonna start by lifting up. Well, I think I'm gonna have to use a screwdriver, so I'll be right back. I'm gonna lift this sear housing block out. I'm gonna pry it up on the side right there to get it started, then I'll pull it right out. Be right back. All right, now that I've got that out, I can take the this little ejector, should come right off the front here. I can take this off, and then I can get down to clean the sear and everything down inside here. It is pretty nasty. I don't know if you can see that, but it is pretty nasty down inside there. It did get some pond scum on it, and it does have a little bit of dirt on it. The whole inside of the gun is pretty dirty. You can see it hasn't been cleaned. I know it hasn't been cleaned since it was fired. It is pretty dirty in here, but we can get this thing out and we'll get it looking good as new before long. I'm going to take the ejector off of here and clean that, and then I'm going to pull out the trigger housing. I already pulled the back side of the trigger out. I'm going to pull that out, and then I'll pull out the slide stop mechanism, and then I'll pull the locking block. Be right back. So now I have the trigger out, the trigger bar out. I have the locking block out of it, and also have the slide stop, the ambidextrous slide stop pulled out. There's a spring in here that you don't want to lose. It's easy to lose this little spring, so you do have to pay attention to that when you take this thing apart. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to clean this all with some ballistol. Then I'm going to get inside here and make sure I get all the pond gunk out of here, and then we'll be ready to reassemble. Okay, now I've sprayed everything down with ballistol. Sprayed the barrel down. I've sprayed the recoil rod and spring. I've got ballast working on this. I've got it on the inside of the grip module. I've got some on the magazine. I decided while I had my punch out, I would go ahead and pull the floor plate out of the magazine and go ahead and take the spring and follower out and clean the entire magazine as well. So now I've got everything cleaned up. Everything is dried off. You don't want to leave too much. You know, this ballast will lubricate and penetrate, but it'll also help preserve and protect. But you don't want to leave too much ballast on here, because if it's wet, it's going to attract dust and grime and grit and that kind of thing. So I did dry everything off, and now I'm going to reassemble everything. You have to be very careful with this, especially with this little trigger spring here. You got to make sure with the ejector there, and there's a small spring here we don't want to lose. So you have to be just very careful with these things as we clean them and as we put them back together. Make sure you remember the orientation. And I didn't show you how I disassembled this. I'll do that in another video. But I did want you to see everything's out, everything's clean. Now I'm going to reassemble. So now I pull the striker and firing pin, the back plate off the slide, and I'm going to clean down inside this channel. And I've already cleaned all of this, and I'll make sure all that gets good and clean. Get this little safety there too. Then I'll reassemble. All right, I got everything back together now, and I did put some of this TW25B lubricant grease on the slide, and wiped everything down, and did a function test, and everything looks good. Looks like a brand new gun, good as new. See you guys later.